Head coach Mark Johnson is here. We'll have some opening comments, then take questions.
Thanks, Brian. Had a couple of firsts this past weekend. First opportunity for our program to play Cornell in a non-conference series. First time opportunity to play at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. And I remember as a player, go to Toronto or Montreal, and it was hockey night in Canada at 8 o'clock. You were pretty fired up. So put a shout out to Don Cherry and his crew and see if he wanted to come down Saturday night and work our game, but he was busy in Toronto doing their game up there. So very pleased with this past weekend and certainly looking forward to the challenges Saturday and Sunday as Minnesota comes down to Madison. And it's a great rivalry. All the games I've been part of certainly been very entertaining. Fans end up seeing a high-quality performance by both teams, and I know the players get excited on both ends for the matchups, whether we're playing here in Madison or up in Minneapolis. So looking forward to the challenge, and should be a lot of fun as we prepare for them.
Can you identify what some of the challenges are when you play Minnesota? You know it's a high-end team, but you have one as well. How does the matchup look?
Well, I think, as you looked at our roster and you looked at their rosters compared to what they looked at last year, obviously we've got a lot of people coming back from our team a year ago, and they lost a couple key pieces, but as history tells us, they reload and they come at you again. And the key is not to get too overly excited from a player standpoint, where you come on the ice and use all your energy up getting ready for the game. So I think our upperclassmen, especially our seniors, you look at the schedule over the course of the winter, and there's certain ones that you get maybe a little bit more excited to play. But obviously, last couple of years they've ended our season, so we're looking forward to the games. And as I mentioned, it's high quality hockey, and it brings the best out in both teams, and the product that the fans see is something that's pretty special.
Andy, in the back.
Mark, if you could go back to when you played a little bit and compare what the mentality of a goal scorer when things are going really well for you. Andy Pankowski seems to be in a real deep groove right now. What's it like being in that zone, and how do you prolong it as much as possible?
If you can tell me how to prolong it, I'll certainly bottle that up and take it with me. It's like a hitter in baseball. Maybe the baseball comes in a little slower than other times. It looks a little bit bigger. In hockey, the same type of thing. The game slows down probably a little bit more than when you're pressing and not scoring. And as I told her, the first one's the hardest, especially if you go 5, 6, 7 games without scoring. And usually what ends up happening is the first one comes, and then all of a sudden the second, the third one come a little bit easier. But I know when I was in different slumps in my career, you just stay out a little bit longer at the end of practice, go back to basic things as far as catching the puck, shooting pucks in certain spots of the net, and over the course of repetitions and doing that, eventually the goal ends up coming. And as I say, usually the second or third one comes a little bit quicker, and certainly there was a lot of players relieved in Duluth when she scored her first one in the second period up there, her being the most relieved, but you could sense it on the bench, and it didn't take long for her to get the second one. So she's in a good place, and again, when things aren't going well or maybe the way you want them to go, you just have to go out and work a little bit harder, and usually you can turn those things around.
Does experience help you in that at all? Handle the you should be scoring, but you're not scoring. Does being an upperclassman maybe help you in that regard, or do you press even more because you are expected to be scoring goals like she is?
I think I've mentioned in the past, if you look at the score sheet and it frustrates you, are you doing other things that are helping the team? And the big thing, if you're a goal scorer, are you getting quality chances? Are you getting good opportunities? And if you're not, then you have some concerns. In her case, usually in most of the games that she participates with us in, that she's getting anywhere from 2 to 4 or 5, 6 quality scoring opportunities. in the early part of the season, she was still getting those chances. She just wasn't putting the puck in the net, and so a lot of good things were happening. It just wasn't showing up on the score sheet. So those are the type of things you talk to those players about. And we had mentioned here, are you still back checking? Are you still winning face-offs? When you ask you, are you killing penalties? Are you blocking shots? And if those things are all in place, and you're getting those opportunities, the puck eventually is going to go in the net. If you watched our game Friday night, it was the same thing dealing with the team. You're going 50 minutes as you haven't scored a goal. The easy thing is to get frustrated and get down on yourself, but eventually, in most nights, the puck will go in. Some nights it won't because the goaltender plays 60 minutes and stops you, but Friday night was an example as a team of just staying persistent, staying in the offensive zone, trying to create opportunities, getting the goaltender's eyes, tipping, rebounds, tracking pucks, and finally we got a dirty goal by Bailey.
How is Nikki handling her newfound attention?
It was good. I was, obviously from a coaching standpoint, with her sellout Friday night, how she was going to react coming out in a full atmosphere. But she handled it well and gained some experience, and she wasn't tested heavily Friday night, but gave up a couple goals Saturday night and opportunities within that 60 minutes to grow as a goaltender. And so there were some things that happened that you can show video, get her to concentrate and focus in. And the hard part of being a goaltender some nights is if you don't get regular action, it can become hard. And so again, every time she's in net, she gets an opportunity to play. She'd be able to grow from it. And certainly Saturday night's game, there's some things that we can show her and work with her that the next time she gets in, she'll be better.
Do you know what Ann's status is for this week? And in connection with that, how have your players dealt with that uncertainty? Sometimes there can be some questions, and their minds can wander a little bit, but it seems like they've been able to focus pretty well.
It has, with other players that have been injured, I get a daily report. I haven't talked to our medical staff yet today. I'll get that in the next half an hour or hour and see where she's at. But I think the team's handled it quite well. I go back a bunch of years, and Alex Rigsby gets hurt on a Friday night up in Duluth, and Ann Renee's got to go in and play her first game and holds down the fort the last, I think, period and a half, and then ends up playing 10 straight games for us in her freshman year, which really springboarded her into her sophomore year and gave her that experience that she needed to come in and play very well for us. And as you look at this situation, we can't control some things, and the things you can't control, you just move on and control the things that you have an opportunity to control. And so we're working with Nikki, we're working with our other backup goaltender, and when Ann Renee gets back on the ice, we'll work with her, and hopefully she gets herself in a position to play here shortly.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks.